Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 88. Yeah, man, and today we're gonna talk about a whole different range of issues, bro. I've always said, like I said before, no one to leave the arena, no one to leave the job, no one to leave the relationship, the friendship, whatever it is. And sometimes, man, as much as you want to hold on to something, it doesn't want you, or the position that you're at in your job. Um, you may love it, but you may work in a toxic environment, and that in turn is never worth the paycheck. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna start up with this. The universe works in mysterious ways. One of the this girl that I've known for over 20 years. We back in high school, I used to volunteer along with my brother. We used to volunteer at this after school program, for these military kids and whatnot. And there was this one girl. Long story short, she was beautiful. She is beautiful. Um, and ironically, how we hooked up again via social media was her sister. And so her sister, I think she had found me on social, and then her sister, me and her sister were talking and everything too. And she was like, hey, well, so and so's on there too with you. Oh, well, let me send her your page, so that way, y'all two can link. I'm like, okay, cool. So did all that and everything. And yesterday was the first time I talked to her in 20 years. Because the last time I seen her, it was right before high school started. So this is like, pre-social media to what people know it is now. I think back in the day, all we had was Zanga and AIM and that stuff like that too. But I never really had none, like none of those social media pages, and so we ironically, not ironically, but we just lost touch because her family was military, I wasn't, and so they ended up moving, and they settled in Pennsylvania, and they, like all of us, they graduated high school, went to college, and she got a degree, and she just finished her PhD, so kudos to her for that. And so she's studying for, or she's gonna start studying for, um, the I guess the examination or the boards or whatever you call it for your PhD. Like, oh no, my bad. Her license. She's gonna study for her license, and so me and her were talking, and we talked about a whole range of stuff, man. We talked about, like what we got going on, in our lives, and we talked about some other personal issues as well. But the conversation was beautiful, man. It was beautiful, and the universe, like I said, works in mysterious ways. I never thought in a million years that I would reconnect with somebody from my past like this organically, and we happen to be transitioning at the same time. So, and with that being said, I think it's imperative to um, not only realize who you vibe with, but to be understanding as well, and to be compassionate as well. And for me, I've been told before that I think too black and white, or or that I don't listen to understand, and this and this and that. And she said no. Honestly, she's like no. It's like a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. She's like a lot of people just want to hear what other people did wrong to them, and they don't want to hear the fact of what they didn't do. And my thing too is like, if we're constantly going over the same issues and nothing's changing, or or even my last situation, as some of you guys know, if you're constantly running through circles and like, people are avoiding difficult conversations, and you just gotta know when to leave. Speaking of that, me and her had a conversation, and we basically forgave each other for what transpired between us. And I have always said that forgiveness isn't for the other person. Forgiveness is for you to move on. Forgiveness is for you to basically grow and go forward with your life. Because I've never been one to be fixated on my past. You know, because if I'm fixated on my past, I can't focus on my future. If I'm fixated on what somebody else got going on or whatever it is, I can't focus on what on the now. And I remember telling Shorty that like, yo, as much as I want you in my life to experience the wins, the losses, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, all this stuff, it's like you made it pretty clear to me that you don't want the same thing. And so there's no point for me to sit here and be stuck in a chapter or keep writing a chapter that doesn't want to be written. And she said some stuff to me that kind of just made me, I wasn't shocked about it, but I kind of knew something was up because my history with that girl was always going to be complicated, and there's always going to be a different level of value with that girl. There's going to be a different tier with that girl. And yeah, and I told her the other night. I'm like, yo, like I forgive you too. I don't, I don't want you to hold on to regret or negative feelings or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, we're better than that, and I got to keep working on myself. And I said, it doesn't mean that I don't want you around, but because I do, but you're going to be around in a different capacity. And I said, we're better off as platonic friends, nothing more, nothing less, man, because I'm not going to force something that's not for me. Whether it's a job, a friendship, a relationship, a situationship. Speaking about that, situationships, people gotta stop getting so attached, man. It's okay to have feelings for somebody. It's okay to, develop feelings for somebody, but don't go around thinking that, that you guys are an item or that you guys are a couple just because, you spending time together, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. I've been in situations where like some of my best friends, some of the most people that I'm cool with, they're women, you know what I mean? So for the most part, so, and I've been in situations be like, oh yeah, so you and so a day, like, nah, we just friends, you know. But we have an understanding of what the friendship is, and it's nothing sexual or anything like that. It's like I'm just a dude who's friendly, and I don't think anything of it because there's nothing to think of it. And the one thing I tell people is like, yo, you can't complain when somebody treats you a certain way when you allow them to have access to you. And that's one thing I told Shorty last night. The girl I haven't talked to in over 20 years. I said, yeah, a lot of people don't understand that they're the cause of their own drama, their own issues, and myself included. I'm never not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, well this, no. I'm gonna be like, yo, this happened, that happened, boom, 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 and I'm gonna keep it moving. And I think a lot of people, they get caught up because they don't have anything else. They get caught up in situations where they don't have anything else, and they don't know how to create another niche for themselves, or they don't know how to be alone, so they end up getting attached to people who don't necessarily are the best persons for them. And so at the end of the day, situationships, man, and everything, they're tricky, and they can create a lot of awkward situations. And a lot of it has to deal with lack of communication, or lack of expectations, and not being clear on what you want. Because that's how people get fucked up. That's how people get caught up in feelings. That's how people get hurt. And that's how a lot of people end up in situations where it can be fatal. And when I say fatal, I've known people, I've heard stories, I've seen people get killed over, or get killed in situations where the relationship wasn't what it was, and this and that, and the guy just goes off, and he, you know, there's certain shit, that I'll never speak on, that I've seen, and it's like, it's sad, man. Or when people stay in situations, simply because they have nowhere else to go, or they're isolated, And I've seen people treat their significant others one way in public, doting on them, fucking doing all that lovey-dovey shit, and in private, they're completely different. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde, or Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll, I should say. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's imperative to not only know when to leave any situation, but it's also imperative to never leave, or to never lose your passion. For me, it's reading, it's writing, it's making music, and I think at the end of the day, if you know the writing's on the wall, read the wall. Read the wall, and make sure that what you're doing is actually conducive to where you want to go and what you want to do. And lastly, man, if you're constantly waiting for the weekend to get here to just to escape work, that means you're not doing what you want to do. And I get it, people have bills, and we have rent, utilities, all that shit, that we have to account for. But at the end of the day, nothing is worse than staying in a situation, staying in a job that you know is not for you, that you know it's not conducive for your growth, that it's actually does the opposite, that it's hindering your growth. And for me, man, I've come to that realization that for me, there's certain situations, certain people that I can't have access to me, in the same way that they had, or there's certain people where I don't vibe with them because of said reasons. And that's one thing that me and Shorty talked about last night, because we was on the phone for almost an hour, and we were just catching up. We were just explaining, what happened in the last 20 years of our lives, and all this other shit. There's only so much we can talk about in an hour, but the conversation went well. And I think at the end of the day, it's important to realize that just because somebody's chapter in your book is over, it doesn't mean that the love you have for them is dead too, or has ended too. Because at the end of the day, you got to realize that a lot of people will come into your life and teach you things, and they will teach you things to help you get better. And in my last situation, I told the girl, like, look, I say things to you because I want you to get better. I want you to become better. I want you to take, responsibility for your actions as well. And it's never a bad thing, but it's like, I remember telling her one time, it's like, yo, instead of you blaming your ex, why don't you look at what you're not doing? Why don't you look at what you're not doing so you can focus on what you're trying to do? And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people don't want to be told that. You know, they want to be told that they're great, that they're this, that, and which they are, you know. But in the grand scheme of things, too, people also have to recognize, too, that you have flaws, you have insecurities that you have to work on, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, like, hey, well, I'm not comfortable with this topic, or well, let's move forward. Because I've told people straight up, it's like, yo, I'm not gonna answer that. I'm not gonna sit here and answer a question that doesn't need to be answered. And that goes for my professional and personal life as well. There's no point in answering a question that is, you know, that is not, related to the situation at hand. So at the end of the day, man, like I said before, the universe works in mysterious ways, and I'm not putting anything into the new situation. All I know is that sometimes, man, people walk back into your life, for a particular reason, and I'm always game to find out. But anyway, hope y'all keeping full peace, private player, positive pushing. See y'all next week. Love y'all. Goes. And like I always say, know your worth. Later.